Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon. I want to let everyone know that we're going to talk a little bit today about a word called sherath. And the way you spell that is Sharath. It's a Hebrew translation. And the translation that we know it is to be is minister. So, minister is a person who serves or is a servant, and also waited. It is to attend as a worshiper, figuratively to contribute to. So one of the things that I want to talk to you guys about is how often are you having ministry in your house? Sometimes, if you consider it, ministry is something where you are serving. And so what you serve does not have to be confused with being subservient. Subservient is more about you being under someone in a hierarchy of organization. Now, subservient is more related to, in the biblical hierarchy, of a woman listening to her husband for the vision that God has bestowed upon him. But right now, when it comes to just ministry, then a woman can minister and a man can minister. The confusion that we have is that usually you want your husband and wife to minister together. So therefore, people can see the whole picture of God's institution of marriage. Sometimes people have different things to say about a female minister because sometimes they're used to seeing just a male minister. But in fact, if there is a male present and a female present, it's just fine. And sometimes there are some women who minister to people from a church or from a pastoral standpoint. But I just wanted you to kind of understand the difference between serving and being subservient. We're not going to talk about being subservient in this particular lesson. We're going to talk about just serving. So all people can serve, all people can minister, men and women. We'll get to the subservient and serving part and the difference of those on a later topic. But today I want to talk about how often you are allowing your person to minister. And I want you to know that if you go back and you look into, I think that was in Matthew, and I want to say that when I go back and look at my own notes, it's in Matthew 3, and it's Matthew 3 verses 15 through 16. And basically, this is when Jesus was getting ready to be baptized. But John felt like he was not worthy to be the one to be baptized. In fact, the Bible says, and I quote, "But John tried to prevent him, saying, I need to be baptized by you, and do you come to me?" And so John is saying, hey, you coming to me to get baptized? We need to come to you to get baptized. But listen to what he says. Jesus, he answered and said to him, "Permit it now, for in this way it is for us to fulfill all righteousness." Then he permitted him. See, there's a word there. Permit. Sometimes we don't permit our mate to help us. We may listen to their suggestion, but we may not use their suggestion. When you permit someone to do something, that means you are basically allowing yourself to say something and then implement the something that you heard. Now, some of us may feel, well, why should I listen to my mate or my child when they are not right themselves? Well, let's go back and look at John. That was how he felt. You coming to me asking for advice, but I'm not even worthy. If anything, I'm the one that has the problem and you don't. So it seems like I would come and talk to you. But see, ministry is about creating an atmosphere to learn. If we're only going to listen to our mates in times where it's perfect, we're not ministering. We are doing what we think ministry is, when in fact, Sharath the Hebrew translation for ministry, if you look at that, it almost seems like it wants to say share, because you're both learning from one another. But we can't learn if the problem can't be exposed. There are some times I let my daughters do something that I know they're going to mess up at, just so when they mess up, I can say, now I told you that this was not going to work out, but I'm not reminding you of that so I can put it over your head. I wanted us to have an opportunity for you to listen. People tend to listen more when they see that you trusted them to do something that they're not so good at. And even when they mess up, the fact that you allow an opportunity to teach and to talk, that's when people most listen, because you have the idea or the time to harbor over them or to make them feel bad, when in fact you don't. You teach them, you make them learn, and y'all build a relationship. That's what God really wanted. God wanted a relationship with us, so he sent Jesus to teach us how to do that, so he can be the intercessor, on how to do that. That's why I say no man comes to the Father except through me, because Jesus is the Word in the flesh. So if we follow the Word, then we can actually access God. We can hear from God and talk to him and walk with him, and he walked with us. So you walk with God by his ways. So how often are you allowing yourself to minister to your mate? You have to let your mate make a mistake. Jesus knew that John wasn't worthy, but he still allowed him to do it. In fact, the word is he permitted him to do it, because he wanted him to see all righteousness has to be fulfilled. What he's saying is, basically, I'm already right. I'm perfect. I'm Jesus. But you're not right. But if I only remind you of what you're wrong and never allow you to learn how to be right, you're going to always be wrong. Now, I'm not saying that you have to go home and just know that your husband or wife is going to do something that is going to be wrong all the time. Meaning, if you know that your husband is going to clean a window, like I do here, I clean a window. Now, sometimes I do a good job, sometimes I don't. And I've learned to get better by looking at what I shouldn't do. Now, my wife could say, hey, we're going to go get us a professional to take care of this because I don't trust that you can do it right. But in fact, she says, good job, but you missed a few spots. Have you tried to use a different type of tool to get the result that you want? And to her knowledge, I'll say, no, I haven't. We just made a stronger marriage in 2 minutes that's going to take us for another 20 years. You'll be amazed at how all it takes is a second for people to walk out their marriage. It don't take much. You can say the wrong thing at the wrong time and it's all over. But if you take the time to minister, it allows you to build a relationship. So when you do make a mistake, and you will make a mistake, they'll be more accustomed to talking to you than walking away from you. You want your mate to know that at any time the environment is conducive for ministry. I always want to share with my wife, and the wife should always want to share with the husband. I'm going to leave you with this. In a sexual context, when someone wants to share something with you, they have to do that from a physical standpoint. But see, sometimes people don't want to share what they have, because if they keep it to themselves, it's just enough. That's why you may hear a woman may say, or your wife say, not a random woman because we're married, but your wife say, I'm fine, I'm good. That's because as long as we're perfect, we're good. But it's when you allow yourself to not be perfect that you build a perfect marriage. Now, you may have to lose some perfection on what makes you comfortable to make your mate comfortable. Now, you may say, well, I lost half of my perfection because I was good on Monday. I didn't have to have sex. I didn't have to have sex Tuesday. I didn't have to have sex Wednesday. But guess what? By you picking one of them 3 days, not all 3 days, because we're not sex slaves. Nobody's going to have sex every day. Well, well, anyway, nobody's going to have sex every day, but the idea is that if you pick one of those days to be less than perfect in your comfort, it allows the other person to learn how to be perfect in who they are. So it's kind of like if you know you're perfect because you've learned how to be perfect with yourself, you learn how to handle yourself, right? Once you yield to that mate, maybe once or twice, eventually they start realizing, hmm, I kind of see what you're saying now. I kind of understand how you feel when you say you're okay. Because for me, I may need two burgers. For a woman, it may be, or my wife may be one burger. And so I think one of the things is that even though you know one burger should feed your mate, although they're asking for two, it's when you give them two that you can have an invitation for discipleship amongst your mate to say, now I got you two burgers. Now let's talk about why you need two burgers. To only realize that there is a reason why, but you need to know why that is. We have to stop saying what people don't need and find out why they need it. It's a source to everything. And it's either coming from the flesh or it's coming from the spirit or it's coming from the environment. But indeed, it's coming from somewhere. So no matter what comes into your house, be ready to minister to it. Whether you like what it looks like or you don't like what it looks like. We are all here to serve each other because God says that we are here to spread his word, and his word definitely includes the word love. And above all these, the Bible says, love is the greatest. And love also is seen in certain translations as the word charity. So keep in mind, share what you know, minister to your mate, allow them to be imperfect so you can let them know that you love them perfectly, even with their imperfections. But you have to be willing to permit them to make a mistake in order that you learn why they have been making, in fact, that mistake. God bless you. God keep you. And as always, I love you.